Good morning, I'm Kenneth Moten.
And I'm Janae Norman. Here are the top 5 things to know this Friday. Number 1, the earthquake in Southern California.
Authorities say no major injuries or any major infrastructure damage is reported after Thursday's 6.4 magnitude earthquake near Ridgecrest, California, about 150 miles northeast of Los Angeles.
1,300 power outages were reported and a state of emergency was declared, and that region is bracing for more aftershocks.
Number 2, the deadly helicopter crash in the Bahamas.
6 people were killed when the chopper crashed on the way to Fort Lauderdale.
Bloomberg reports one of those victims was billionaire Chris Klein, who made his fortune in the coal industry.
On to number 3 now. President Trump stuck to the script during his Salute to America event in Washington last night, avoiding politics and praising the strength of the U.S. military.
He said there's nothing America can't do. Meanwhile, number 4, a new twist in the president's battle to include a citizenship question on the 2020 census.
Sources say the president is now exploring the use of an executive order. A judge has issued a 2 p.m. deadline today for the White House to explain how it will legally proceed in the face of a Supreme Court decision that blocked the question. Critics say a citizenship question on the census will lead to an undercounting of immigrants.
If that question does appear on the census form, 7,500 more people will be able to say yes when asked if they're citizens. That's how many were naturalized this week, including 44 at a ceremony in Washington yesterday, where they were welcomed by Vice President Mike Pence.
And finally, number 5, the Tour de France starts tomorrow, and we know it's not going to look like this.
This is a mountain bike race that started at the top of a ski run high in the French Alps. They call the annual race Mountain of Hell. And we can see why. Riders fell down an icy slope, setting off this chain reaction crash that lasted several minutes.
They were traveling more than 50 miles an hour. Maybe the most shocking part of all, one race report said, despite that carnage on the mountain, there were no serious injuries.
Let's get this weekend started right.
It's Morning America. All right, let's get right to that big story, that state of emergency in Southern California. In California, after the most powerful earthquake in 20 years.
We're getting new images of the damage, from cracked roads and water pipes to grocery store aisles in ruin to gas leaks and fire. The worry now is about aftershocks. Some could be powerful.
Thursday's quake hit near the town of Ridgecrest, California, about 150 miles northeast of Los Angeles. ABC's Mona Kosar-Abdi is here with the latest on the cleanup in what scientists are now saying. Mona, good morning.
Good morning, Janae, and good morning to you, Kenneth. Experts say with an earthquake of this magnitude, it's common to see a lot of aftershocks, but they also say that there's a small chance that this was just the foreshock and an even greater quake is yet to come.
This morning, California under a state of emergency after a massive 6.4 earthquake shook the southern half of the state.
All units, we are on citywide earthquake mode.
The largest trembler to hit the region in nearly 2 decades.
We lost everything that we have. I have no TVs, I have no dressers, I have nothing.
Our kitchen's completely destroyed. Everything fell off the walls, out of the cabinets.
Take a look at this video capturing a panicked employee running for safety amid the intense shaking that started around 10:30 a.m. local time. Another angle showing contents on store shelves knocked to the floor, and this home completely knocked off its foundation. The 22nd quake was centered near Ridgecrest, a sparsely populated area in the Mojave Desert, and was followed by at least 100 aftershocks. The rattle could be felt from Northern California all the way down to Mexico. At the epicenter, officials responding to reports of fires, cracked streets, downed power lines, and property damage. Patients from a local hospital were evacuated after suffering minor injuries.
The computers were flying off onto the ground. The water bottle container was shaking.
Seismologist Lucy Jones described it as a strike-slip quake, which means 2 plates along the fault move parallel to each other but in opposite directions. And this morning, a major message from Jones warning of more aftershocks to come.
There is about a 1 in 20 chance that this location will be having an even bigger earthquake within the next few days, that we have not yet seen the biggest earthquake of the sequence.
And seismologist Lucy Jones says that there were at least two seismic faults involved in this earthquake, but she says the San Andreas was not one of them, which, Janae and Kenneth, is a pretty big deal, pretty important to note, because a lot of people were asking, is this the big one? And she's saying no.
And it's so scary that there could be more aftershocks and powerful ones.
Yeah, Mona, thank you so much. When I spent time out in California reporting for this network, I remember there was a lot of talk about the big one, but it seemed, even in eyes of Californians, people on the West Coast, that it was like, oh, it's just like this big myth thing or whatever. Mm-hmm. But it's serious, and I think this rattling so many people, that that magnitude of an earthquake, it is concerning, and it being maybe something on the cusp of something bigger. Yeah. A lot of people are definitely taking stock of that.
And we'll definitely be watching that. Well, now to Washington, where President Trump stuck to the script during his Salute to America event last night, avoiding politics and praising the strength of the U.S. military, saying there's nothing America can't do. ABC's Trevor Ault was there.
In what he said would be the show of a lifetime, President Trump's salute to America bringing thousands to the National Mall. The president himself speaking from the Lincoln Memorial.
We remember that all share a truly extraordinary heritage. Together we are part of one of the greatest stories ever told, the story of America.
In a light but continuous reign, the president honoring each branch of the military with important moments from their history, songs, and flyovers. The president's remarks highlighting the American spirit and the country's people, past and present.
Americans love our freedom, and no one will ever take it away from us.
As the day's festivities unfolded, the president's critics also on hand, including protesters flying this baby Trump balloon. The president's political opponents also criticizing the event, accusing the president of making it partisan by giving VIP tickets to big dollar donors. Also stirring controversy, those tanks and armored vehicles brought in to showcase America's military might.
I think we need money to go into rebuilding our infrastructure. I'm not quite sure that we need money to go in to put tanks in downtown Washington, D.C.
But the president sidestepping politics in his remarks, praising American heroes, pioneers, and service members.
And our nation is stronger today than it ever was before. It is its strongest now.
President Trump has wanted a large-scale military display like this since he saw something similar in France back in 2017. He becomes the first president to make a formal 4th of July address in Washington, D.C. since President Truman back in 1951. Janae, Kenneth.
Trevor, thank you. And the only Republican member of Congress to call for President Trump's impeachment is leaving the GOP.
Michigan Congressman Justin Amash has announced his plans to become an independent. He says modern politics is trapped in a, quote, partisan death spiral. President Trump called his departure great news for the Republican Party. Well, now the presidential candidate Pete Buttigieg confronted racism on the campaign trail during a tense exchange in Iowa. A man in the audience suggested that black people were at fault for police shootings and high crime rates, prompting Buttigieg to cut him off.
The fact that a black person is 4 times as likely as a white person to be incarcerated for the exact same crime is evidence of systemic racism. Sir, when black people and white people are treated the same by the criminal justice system, it will be easier for white people and black people to live in this country, and it will be easier for law enforcement to do their job. But racism has no place in American politics or in American law enforcement.
There you have it. Buttigieg, the mayor of South Bend, Indiana, has been under fire since a black resident was shot and killed by a white police officer last month.
Now to the extreme weather. Tornadoes, lightning, and hail impacted much of the country overnight. This was the scene in Colorado. Farther north, a tornado was reported, and in the south, lightning left several people injured.
Overnight, tornado watches in effect. This large twister spotted in southeastern Wyoming. Strong and deadly holiday storms ripped through several states.
Responsible restitution of caller advised that there were 4 unresponsive people down by the river.
One person dead in Georgetown County, South Carolina. A bolt of lightning struck a tree, killing a 44-year-old man and injuring a dozen others.
I'm just chilling there in the house, and next thing I know, here comes somebody banging on the door. And it was a little kid in a panic saying that, a bunch of people got struck by lightning and wanted me to call 911.
In Moncks Corner, 30 miles north of Charleston, a microburst peeled back the metal roof on this building. Near Tampa, Florida, this close call. Wow! Firefighters rushed to put out a house fire in Durham, North Carolina, sparked by more lightning.
I heard another pop, and so I started freaking out.
The severe weather fueled by the extreme heat. Parts of the southeast felt like 100 degrees or more. The rising temperatures even having an impact in Alaska. Anchorage canceled its 4th of July fireworks show because of the heat.
And it was actually 89 degrees in Anchorage yesterday. That's the highest temperature ever recorded there.
That is incredible. So be careful in that heat. Well, turning now to a sculpture of King Tut's head sold at a London auction for $6 million. The sale is controversial, with Egypt claiming that the 3,000-year-old relic was stolen. Christie, which conducted the auction, disputes the claim. Egypt's child king reigned from the age of 9 until the death at age 19. No word yet on who made the purchase. $6 million, and you see a big part of the chin's not even there.
Yeah. And our own Team USA celebrate Independence Day in France.
The U.S. national women's team enjoyed the fruits of their victory over England earlier this week in a 2-1 victory over the Brits. That win has now advanced them to the 3rd World Cup final in a row.
So on Sunday, Team USA faces off against the Netherlands for the trophy. That match starts at 11 a.m. Eastern.
Can't wait.
Well, coming up, the controversy over rising tennis star Coco Gauff.
What one British player just did to play with her in doubles. After this. Welcome back. Now to a fatal mistake at a hospital in Chicago involving 2 families.
They're filing a wrongful death lawsuit after the wrong man was taken off life support. ABC's Alex Perez explains how it happened.
This Chicago man was badly beaten and found unconscious by police. Hospitalized and on life support, authorities used mugshots in May to determine he was Rosie Brooks' missing brother, Alfonso Bennett. But she immediately told doctors something didn't seem right.
I said, Doc, I understand what you're saying, but I cannot recognize him as my brother.
Showing no signs of improvement, Brooks and her family made the excruciating decision to take him off of life support. But as they prepared for his funeral, Alfonso Bennett, very much alive and well, walked into a friend's barbecue.
She said, he's here, he's alive.
It turns out the missing man was actually Elijah Brittman. Fingerprints from the morgue eventually revealing his true identity.
It wasn't just I just searched for him one day. It was every day.
Both families now coming together, filing a wrongful death lawsuit against Chicago and the hospital that handled the case.
The bottom line is that this mistaken identity situation was something that we very much think could have easily been avoided.
And at this point, neither the city nor the hospital have commented on that lawsuit. Alex Perez, ABC News, Chicago.
All right, we're going to switch gears now to a little more light fun. Let's get a check of our notifications, starting with dramatic video of an explosion at a fireworks store in Fort Mill, South Carolina. Look at that site. That fire started in containers outside the store. The containers had dozens of cardboard boxes holding fireworks. Firefighters had to dodge exploding rockets to put out the flames. No injuries were reported. An investigation is underway into the cause of the fire. And now to the wiener and still champion hot dog eater,
yes,
Joey Chestnut.
The wiener, the gastronomic gladiator they call him, won his 12th Nathan's Famous contest on Coney Island. He ate 71 franks and buns in 10 minutes and is disappointed he missed setting a new record by 4.
Doesn't that video make you want to gag?
No, I'm not even looking at it.
I know. The women's winner is also disappointed. She didn't do better. Mickey Sudo ate 31 to win her 6th mustard belt trophy. We relish, get it? Seeing how Mickey and Joey do next year.
Yeah.
Oh my, it probably takes them a year to recover from that.
Yeah, on to the next one, next year. And social media is blowing up about this next video of our friend Darla Miles at work reporting for the New York City News. Watch this smooth move right here.
To the height of the rush hour commute, and there's going to be lots more confusion until this whole thing is wrapped up. To the height of the rush hour commute,
calm, collected. That's our local WABC station, and of course, this was so big on social media. The station ended up covering it the next day, showing that video again, sharing some of the tweets. They actually shared mine when I said, "Can't get over Darla Miles doing the Heisman." During this live shot, I watched it over and over again.
And I tweeted that stiff arm was everything.
Yes.
And as you see that when this went viral, somebody tweeted how I'm blocking all negativity in my life, like Darla Miles.
Yeah, nice one there, Darla. Meanwhile, we're finding out just how much of an outdoorsman Justin Timberlake is.
The singer celebrated Independence Day a bit early with his wife Jessica Biel by going axe throwing. Both he and Biel shared these slow motion videos for you of that axe throwing skills there. I mean, that's impressive.
Incredible. Thankfully, the couple's 4-year-old son Silas was not in attendance while mom and dad were throwing out those axes, but you know, maybe in a few years we'll see his video.
Yeah, definitely. And across the pond, Meghan Markle, the Duchess of Sussex. She made a surprise visit at Wimbledon.
Shirley, the Duchess of Sussex, is still on her maternity leave, but she took out time to turn out to support her good friend Serena Williams.
Markle was in the stands with friends Lindsay Roth and Genevieve Hillis, which itself is sparking fresh speculation over whether the two may have been chosen to be among the godparents at baby Archie's christening over the weekend.
Ooh, we'll see.
And speaking of Wimbledon, there's a little fresh controversy this morning swirling around America's newest tennis star.
15-year-old Cori Coco Gauff has been tearing up the court, first upsetting her idol Venus Williams, then beating the 2017 semifinalist Slovakian Magdalena Rybarkova. But now Gauff has turned into such a sensation that British tennis player Jay Clark dumped fellow Brit Harriet Dart as his mixed doubles player for Gauff.
It all comes after a momentous moment for the rising star with tennis legend Roger Federer. Yep, giving her an encouraging pat on the back there. Gauff is going for her 3rd round win later today.
Incredible.
Love it. Well, turning now to a viral video that's also sparking some fresh conversations around the country about race.
So these tense moments were caught on a doorbell camera between a black couple and a white contractor who showed up at their home flying a giant Confederate flag on his SUV. Here's ABC's Marcus Moore.
This video going viral, sparking conversation about free speech versus free will.
Hi. You know what? I do apologize. I know you've come from a very long way, but we're going to use someone else.
Allison and Zeke Brown's doorbell camera capturing their exchange with the contractor they hired to repair a golf cart at their Atlanta home.
She's upset with the flag. No, I'm beyond upset with the flag.
The issue? This Confederate flag waving in the back of the contractor's truck.
Every time, you see that flag, it actually stems fear.
You never know what a person is willing to do, especially if they are promoting their hate in such a very vivid way.
In the video, the contractor, identified as Michael, offers to take the flag down.
No, you don't need to take it down. You continue to believe what you need to believe, sir.
He eventually drives off, that flag still waving. We reached out to the contractor but have yet to get a response. And the Browns say that contractor later texted them saying he didn't know the flag was offensive to them. The Browns telling us they view this as a teachable moment. Marcus Moore, ABC News, Dallas.
Our thanks to Marcus there. Well, coming up, what one 95-year-old just did for the very first time.
It involved an airplane and champagne. More after this. Here's what to watch out for today. President Trump departs the White House to spend the weekend in New Jersey. You can watch on ABC News Live to see if he answers questions from the press before he leaves. Democratic presidential candidates converge on Houston today for the National Education Association Public Schools Presidential Forum. Quite a name. Well, they'll answer questions from the nation's teachers about the future of education.
And tennis sensation Coco Gauff plays in the 3rd round of Wimbledon. She advanced through the 2nd round, beating her opponent in straight sets. Plus, don't forget to tune into the debrief for an update on all our top stories in the briefing room for a breakdown of the latest headlines in politics.
Well, leaving on a jet plane has become almost as routine to most of us today as catching a bus or subway.
But one woman who was born before TV was even invented has finally joined the ranks of the jet set. And if you're looking to the skies for fireworks this week, you might have missed something even more spectacular. A certain 95-year-old taking her first trip over the rainbow. Here's Will Gans.
No wizard needed to make Gladys Blackburn's dreams come true. The 95-year-old always wanted to take a trip over the rainbow in an airplane.
I'm going to go up and I'm going to go down.
And she sure did. Her retirement community in the UK making it happen. Flying to Switzerland. Gladys making herself right at home on her very first flight.
I got a lovely bunch of coconuts.
a song, and a sip. Gladys, previously enjoying trips to her local airport to watch planes take off and land, never having the chance to fly in one herself. Until now, the nonagenarian unable to believe the view from all the way up. And when she landed,
I like it.
Gladys saying of her high-flying adventure, "It was brilliant, better than I had imagined. That trip over the rainbow, everything she ever dreamed of."
Why, oh, why can't
An EasyJet spokesperson says Gladys's story is inspiring and clearly shows you are never too old to try something new. And
Never too old to live your best life.
I would concur with that, yes.
Well, thank you guys for joining us. It's been quite a week. Enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend.
Yeah, have a great weekend. We will see you on Monday.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.